infinite color. Woo!
In the still of the cold dark night, seasons changing, clouds blocking the pale moonlight. I reach for my torch, my pocket light, flick it on, ready to wield its power shining bright. As a collector I know I need my collection to grow. More and more lights, it's an obsession, gotta have more for possession. Some for looks, some for that incredible glow. High performance, all of the lumens. Give me the power of candela to solve the darkest dilemma and make the darkness run away. I go out of my way, finding lights every day. Always a hopping online, finding more to make mine. Watching.
All right, boys, it's time to get a little nutty. Now, this is going to be kind of a two-part video here. One that's going to be a straight-up full review on the light you see here in front of you. And the second part is going to be sneaking in a little something extra that I think is fun and cool and different. But this is really where the focus is going to be. This is the brand new Baton Turbo. Now, I reached out to Olight after they had sent me a couple of lights to review recently. And I said, hey, I know this Baton Turbo is coming out. It looks kind of crazy. Can I get my hands on one? They said, we'll see what we can do. No promises. And they did. Within a week, this landed, and I'm really excited for this because this is honestly one of the things that Olight does the best. Now, I've talked before that I love Olight for their innovation, for their pricing, and all the things that they encompass as a brand. But I think one of the most important innovations that they have really gotten into is making high-performance lights that are very, very tiny. And if you're like me, you started off your Olight obsession with the original S1 Baton. This teeny, tiny micro light is what introduced me to Olight. And I've had so many since then that I have truly and thoroughly enjoyed. But that was my gateway right there. And now the most recent in the Baton model line is the Baton 4 as of, what, last month? No, this is a couple months now. I forgot, it's been a while since I reviewed this. But now we have the Baton Turbo. The Baton S1 was a nice small micro light that gave you a good amount of power. Mine is so very, very dead. I haven't touched this in years. I had this one, and I have a titanium version, and I just thought they were cool for what they were, because at that time I really wasn't much into flashlights. So having something small and very easy to carry was really important. Now, the Baton 4 comes with this awesome charging box, and it really is an awesome kit. Still tiny, still very high performance. It's not quite as tiny as it used to be. It's just a teeny tiny touch bigger, but still a tiny little light. Now, when you see the pictures of the new Baton Turbo, you might think that it's as tiny as this, and it's not. As much as I would love it to be, it's not. I don't think that they can do what they've done in this tiny of a package. So what I wanted to do first was make that comparison. We're going to unbox this very quickly. I've already unboxed it because I got excited when the box arrived, but I did put everything back the way it was. Your standard enormous instruction manual. You get a nice little cinch bag to carry your light in if you want to. You get your magnetic charger. You're going to get a lanyard. There are multiple different ways that you can carry this light. Lanyard is one of them. And what do we have in here? Okay, this is going to be your tube if you decide to use a CR123 battery, a single-use alkaline battery inside of this light instead of the 18350 rechargeable that's in there. and you have that freedom, you have that ability. You have to use the sleeve, and you're going to get a lot less performance by doing that. So how do these stack up? Yeah, that's a pretty big difference. But here's the thing. This is still tiny, man. This still disappears in the palm of your hand. And while the Baton 4 is wonderfully powerful for its size, this thing is stupidly powerful. And I mean that in the best possible way. Now with the Baton 4, you're getting a TIR optic over a single LED. Here, still again single LED, but you'll notice that very deep mirrored reflector. And it's mirrored, not textured. So what does that mean, everybody? Oh yeah, it's a thrower. You have a 1,000 lumen micro pocket light. That's not crazy. To get 1,000 lumens out of a light this size, I have shown you lights this size with 3 and 4 times that power. But the difference lies in the candela and its ability to throw. This is 65,025 candela with 510 meters of throw. Now that puts you in the league of true throwers like this. Now, why am I bringing out a non-Olight light into an Olight review? Because when it gets time to go outside, I want to give you a comparison between what is a good, solid, well-known pocket thrower, not a big giant thrower, to a micro pocket thrower. These each will reach out about 1/4 of a mile. Realize that little thing that you just hid inside the palm of your hand will reach 1/4 mile. Now, many times we choose between a flutter and a thrower, right? Sometimes we find that sweet spot right in the middle for an EDC light that'll kind of give us both, but it's usually going to lean more toward floody and less of a thrower at that point for it to be at least somewhat utilitarian. And if we really do want more throw, we end up having to make a sacrifice in compactness. We either have to get a longer, larger light or something with a much larger diameter that may not be well suited for putting in your pocket. I mean, think about it this way. The beautiful Warrior 3S, that's a big light. That's a 21700 powered light. It's a big light, but it's not a huge diameter. This is a huge diameter. This is actually pretty easy to carry in the pocket. This one, not so much. Can you? Yes. Is it comfortable? No. So this is going to be one that you're probably going to leave in the car or in a backpack or something and bring out for the occasion when you need a thrower. This one, this is your good old everyday EDC light with a good hot spot, plenty of flood. And when you kick it up, you have a decent amount of throw. Now, notice I'm saying decent. This is not a thrower. This is an EDC/tactical light. It really fills both roles. It's not a dedicated thrower. But that's still a big light that you're carrying around. Here, significantly smaller. And this will vastly outperform this. We're going to find that out together when we get them outside. What you've got in here is what they're classifying as a cool white LED. They do not list the emitter. That's running at 6500K to 7500K. That's a very wide spectrum, but that's a little more than cool white to me. That's going off into blue. That is very, very, very cool white. Inside is an 18350 battery, and you have a couple of choices on how you can use it. You can either unscrew the head, pull the battery out, independently charge the battery. I don't know why you would, because you have this wonderful technology here. the magnetic charger. You could charge it while it's still housed inside of the flashlight body. That's the way I would do it. But if you're going on a trip or something and you need multiple batteries and you pop one out, you want to charge that while you put a fresh one in, you're able to do that. You can cycle your batteries. There are so many companies these days that make lights with proprietary batteries that you cannot take out that are limiting in that factor, and they're also limiting in their lifespan because of that. All lithium-ion batteries have a lifespan. They're going to die at some point, and when they do, that's it. They're just done. And if it's a built-in proprietary battery, then what may end up being your favorite light in your collection, you have to throw away and replace. And that's not really fun. And that turns a lot of people away from buying certain lights that they would otherwise like to own. With this Olight, you don't have to worry about that. You could take the battery out, pop a new one in there, you're good to go. So what are you getting here? Your maximum lumens is 1,000 lumens. And that 1,000 lumens will kick down to 300 when it starts getting too hot. Actually, let's go over the run times and the modes here very quickly. Kind of get these things out of the way, clear off some room on the screen for graphics. So what you're looking at is a turbo of 1,000 lumens that will step down after 2.5 minutes to 300 lumens. And it will stay on the 300 lumens for 92 minutes. The high is 300 lumens. And that gives you a runtime of 103 minutes. It will step down to 60 lumens and run another 18 minutes. At least that's the way I'm reading it. I could be off on that by a little bit, but that is directly from Olight's website. The medium is 60 lumens. Runtime on medium is 10 hours. On low, you've got 10 lumens with a runtime of 60 hours. That's your marooned on a deserted island mode. And then your moonlight, 1 lumen, 50 days. Other specs, your weight on this, including the battery, is 3.21 ounces with an IPX8 water resistant rating, water and dust resistant rating. 3.22 inches long with a head diameter of 1.14 inches. Body diameter is under an inch. It is 94 thousandths of an inch. And it's made of all aluminum. It's hard anodized aluminum in a matte finish. Not in the satin gloss finish that we're used to seeing Olights do. I much prefer this finish. It looks nicer. It looks more professional in some manner. And then you have the signature blue anodized highlights on the bezel and on the E-switch. Now the E-switch is going to be just like the one found on the higher end Warrior 3S titanium here. And that's going to give you, let me go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on. It's going to give you your battery charge indicator, and it's going to give you your mode indicator. So that was low, that's medium, that's high, and that's turbo. And I have 3 out of 4 LEDs lit for my battery indication. Your pocket clip is set for bezel down carry, which is my preferred method of carry. And right behind that, if we zoom in, you also have your lanyard opening. So if you would prefer to use your lanyard instead of a pocket clip, then you certainly can. It is included in the packaging. What a fantastic little size. I can definitely understand some people that have shied away from the Batons in the past because they felt that they were going to be too small. I have large hands, so I'm not one to really grab one of my Batons very often because I do have lights that I feel fit my hand a little bit better, whether they be 18350 powered lights like these, 18650 powered lights, or 14500 powered lights, which I love carrying 14500 lights. These tend to be just a little bit small for me. But this baton, not only is it a nicer size in its length, to where I feel like I can hold on to it better. This, when I do use my Baton 4, and I kind of have a death grip on it because I'm afraid, because of how tiny it is, that I'm just going to drop it and lose it. And obviously I'm using it in the dark. That means if I drop it, I'm probably going to lose it for good. And with this, I feel, number one, the size of it I feel is more secure. Number two, they've done a really great job on the textures on the body. The textures on the body are just about as grippy as the ones on the 3S. They're almost sharp. I really like those a lot. So I really don't feel like I'm going to have any paranoia over this. I like that the switch is elevated with the flat spot there. So no matter how I grab this, I will feel it as I wrap my hand around it. I'll be like, okay, that's where my switch is. That's where my on button is. The girth of it also feels good. It's going to be easy for me to keep a hold of. Again, it's not going to feel like it's so small that it's just going to fall out of my hands and disappear. So now we've talked about what I like about the lights sitting here in the studio with all the lights on. Now let's do a couple of quick beam shots in the studio, and then we're going to get outside, because that, I think, really is what's going to make or break this light for us. Okay, here we go. We'll do a couple of little beam shots here. I think this light, yeah, this light is almost dead. So unfortunately, I got to charge that before we go out tonight and use it. So we'll bring out the Warrior 3S, the Baton 4, and the Baton Turbo side by side. I think medium is probably best for giving you a good idea of what the beam pattern looks like without it overpowering. So there's the medium. And what you see is a very clean, defined hotspot, as you would expect from a thrower. There's the medium on the Warrior 3S. And the medium on the Baton 4, which is not nearly as bright. It's not running the same level of power. Let's kill the light, shall we? Now, let's get this out of the way. So here, we have a big, clearly defined hotspot. A little bit of spill. I've already reviewed this light. If you have not seen that review, please go check it out. This was a wonderful performer. And a light that I really, really enjoy. Now, getting over here to the Baton 4, we can crank it up a little bit just so that it's a little more comparable. Now, it's still got a lot of power for as tiny as this thing is. But you'll see, number one, it's a much warmer light. Number two, it's a lot more flood because it's got that TIR having an optic instead of having that deep dish in there. That reflector is going to make quite the difference. This is a nice hotspot, but it's a soft hotspot. And then you've got a good amount of spill. Then we get over here to our Baton Turbo. Very clearly defined hotspot. Then you've got a very nice corona around that, which I don't know if it's really playing where you can see it easily on camera, but it's like a yellowish tint corona that's right around that. And then it goes, let's see if I put my fingers on it. There it is right there. And then it goes off into the spill. So my guess, because it's not dark yet, I haven't had a chance to go outside with this yet, My guess is that, of course, yes, we already know it's going to be a good thrower because that's what it was designed for, but I really feel like I could walk a path with this if I was walking a dog or something like that, walking around the neighborhood. It wouldn't be this useful little pencil hole of light that's just shining a quarter mile away, but that it's actually useful for walking around and doing regular EDC stuff. So this, I think, could probably be an excellent choice for an EDC light that's going to kind of do everything. Now, let's see if I'm right or wrong in my guesstimations. Okay, as promised, there is a very quick part 2 right before we get outside to do those beam shots, and that's to sneak in this little guy right here. This is a limited exclusive offering with Olight that's available during the sale that they're running right now here at the end of fall, I guess, is what this is. I mean, we're at the end of September here. Let me go ahead and cut this bad boy open. Let's see. Is there a nice spot that I can cut at so I don't slice into the box? Yeah, I think right there is probably good. How about I speed this up a bit for you? Okay, so inside of the packaging, you have this pin. I thought this was going to be a challenge coin, but it's actually a pin that you can wear. Which I'm assuming if you're really big into these kind of causes, you probably wear pins. So there you go. Move that out of the way. What we're looking at here is an Arkfeld Pro done in a support life's biggest supporters motif. So if you're a big pet person, you love your kitty cats, you love your doggies, then this is probably going to be the light for you. Same as all the other Arkfeld Pros. I am an Arkfeld fan. I've got a couple of Pros. I've got an Ultra. And everything is going to be the exact same on this as every other Arkfeld Pro. Triple click, I'm sorry. I just did a double. 1, 2, 3. Triple click brings you to turbo. Your white light selector is here. Your laser is in the center. And your UV light, your black light, is to the left. So same operation as always. Same weight, same size, same power, same everything. So you're getting 1300, yeah, 1300 lumens. Still a good amount of power coming out of that bad boy. And if you want something that expresses your love of your pets, then that's a good way to go. All right, that's it for that little sneak peek on that. A lot of people are wanting to see these on video so they can get an idea of what the color is like. It's kind of a medium blue. It's not that jewel-like blue that Olight does so often in their bezels or whatnot. It's the same type of anodizing that we've had before, so it's nice and smooth. You get the same LED indicators that you did on the Pros originally. That is going to be a little bit different than what we see now on the Ultra. Same pocket clip as the Pros have always had, not the upgraded clip that you get on the Ultra. And that's pretty much it. Now let's get our butts outside and see how that Baton Turbo performs. Okay, this time I'm going to try a slightly different view because we're going to be throwing light further than we typically do in these videos. So I'm trying to find an area where there's a little bit more distance to see how this is going to work. So right now we're going to start with the big boy here, just to give you an idea of what a big, powerful light should generally do and see how that compares to this little guy. So I'm going to go straight to turbo. And I'd say, yep, that is pretty respectable distance with a very large hotspot, and then of course plenty of spill to see around it. That of course is impressive, but it's a big light too. Now let's go to something that's more of a dedicated thrower. And now we are very clearly lighting up a much further distance. Now what happens when I bring the little guy out? I'm going to be honest with you, that is not a substantial difference. Going back again to this thrower, going straight over to turbo, and then to the Baton turbo. And look how much spill there still is, and how large the hotspot is, and how useful this is going to be. Now let's take a little bit more of a close-up look. Okay, so I want to go walking around with a thrower. And sure, at a distance everything looks good. But if it's not in this small circle, in this hot spot, then it's not really doing me a lot of good. So walking around, I can't even see the full width of my driveway. It lights up only right where I'm pointing. So let's switch over to the Olight. Now here, hotspot's about the same size, but you'll notice how much more area is lit. And that's why I say this might just be the perfect compromise. If you want a tiny microlight and you still want the utility of being able to use it as an EDC light to see plenty around you and have that throw, well, this is going to be a really good choice. And I just think it's fantastic that it's in such a tiny package. To not have to carry a secondary light with you that's a thrower, using the same light that you've got, doing your close-up, your intermediate, and your far distance stuff, this is a hell of a great way to go. So that's my thoughts. Thank you guys as always for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.